that a government came into office and its policies have been so chaotic that those people who have worked hard to attain that level of comfort have now seen it all almost wiped away. And so if a person who was that comfortable with Rolls-Royce vehicles has now been cut down to managing his Honda Accord, imagine what has happened to the university lecturer. Imagine what that lecturer has had to do. This change in economic realities is, by the way, not as a result of Mr. Rolls-Royce's bad business decisions. He didn't do anything wrong or anything like that. But because an administration came into office and completely changed the trajectory of businesses and the value of the currency across Nigeria. Again, this morning, as you think of Mr. Rolls-Royce, think as well of the civil servant who's working in his very small state government office. Think of the Nigerian who was doing his best to feed his 5 children and put them through school, managing his own small Toyota. What do you think has happened to him? If Mr. Rolls-Royce has dropped from, using those exotic cars to using a Honda Accord, what do you think has happened to those who had a Honda Accord? What do you think has happened to those who had small Toyota Corollas? What do you think is their fate? Ladies and gentlemen, leaders come into office and it is expected that their leadership should bring about prosperity and growth for a nation and its citizens. That is the expectation. And if for any reason there has to be austerity measures, it must be seen from the top. That leader must show and lead by example. But in our case, the Nigerian government seems to be doing, completely the opposite. Billions are being budgeted and spent on houses and cars for the executive, while our dear friend dropped his Rolls-Royce for a Honda. And if the government expects citizens to make sacrifices, then there must be visible signs that government is leading by example. Government must also drop its own Rolls-Royce and use a Honda. Mr. President and the executive, the National Assembly members, must also drop their own Rolls-Royce. It must be seen that they have also decided to leave their Rolls-Royce and move to a Honda. Also, Mr. President failed to actually even inspire hope that someday this friend will be prosperous again, enough to go back to using one of his Rolls-Royce. Because from what it seems, this Honda status might just be permanent or even get worse. He may start, to leave his Honda now and start entering downfall. And so to Mr. President, is the Honda adjustment permanent? And how can you convince Nigerians that this Honda, situation is not going to be the norm? Again, as you think about Mr. Rolls-Royce, think about the retiree who has seen the cost of his medication go from 3,000 naira a month to about 25,000 naira a month. Good morning, Nigerians.